a doctor's insurance providers, an in-network provider insurance pages. And so at that point he decided, you know what, there needs to be somewhere on the internet that exists where consumers can share which doctor has the best bedside manner, or who could take that last minute appointment when you really wake up sick and you're just like, I need some help ASAP. And so with that in mind, Yelp was created. Since then, back in 2004, since inception, Yelp has continued to grow. So if we move on to the next slide here, we have now increased our review count, our user count. The first thing to note is that we're up to 61 million reviews up on Yelp that have been contributed to the site since inception in 2004. This is our latest number as of Q2 of this year. What's more worth noting is the fact that no, restaurants do not take up the most reviewed space on Yelp. So actually shopping, the shopping related category is where most people are contributing reviews. Second to that is restaurants, and then it's pretty evenly distributed across the other categories. Now, somebody may think that this is totally skewed or not fair, but if you think about the day-to-day consumer experience, hopefully more often than not, you are actually going out and dining with friends or doing some kind of retail-related experience or consumer-driven action versus, you know, taking a really touchy Jaguar to the auto mechanic every other week, right? So it's really actually quite evenly distributed based on the kind of interactions we're having with various businesses.
So I also want to share a little bit of information about Main Street Hub itself so you guys can understand why it is we do what we do. So Main Street Hub was created about 4 years ago. We actually started out here in San Francisco with our two founders, Matt Stewart and Andrew Allison, in a library at Stanford. But after about 6 months of that, we moved over into Austin, Texas, where we're headquartered now. And we've got 4 offices across the country in San Francisco, Los Angeles, Manhattan, and Austin. But mostly the reason why we exist is to help create more conversations between local business owners and their customers. One of the things that we realized, and I think that you'll hear again today, is that creating those conversations takes a lot of time. And as a business owner, you want to spend most of your time actually in front of your customers, running your store, and making sure that you're taking care of everything in front of you. So what we do is we help generate, we help people reach out and have better conversations through Facebook, through Twitter, and all the different sites that are important for local businesses. So we are the only do-it-for-you platform for Facebook, Twitter, Foursquare, Yelp, and TripAdvisor, and Google Plus to make sure that your conversations, that we're having better conversations with your customers. So moving on, there are pretty much 3 different types of customers that a local business is going to be trying to attract through these sites, and that's going to be new customers, your friends of those customers, and regular customers. So how are they going to find you? And like Morgan said, a lot of people, when they're doing that initial search for a business, maybe you need to get an oil change, or you're looking for a great restaurant, or you just moved into town and you're trying to find a dentist. What you're going to do is you're going to go onto sites like, excuse me. There we go. And you're going to go onto sites like Yelp and Google and TripAdvisor to find those things. And the reason why people are going to choose you are going to be based on your reputation. So they're going to do a search, they're going to see how you stack up against your competition, and then they're going to read some of the reviews about you. And believe it or not, 7 out of 10 people treat those reviews the same way they would a recommendation from one of their friends. So it's critical that you look as good as you possibly can on sites like Yelp and Google. Now the next thing that you want to do is start spreading word of mouth about your business so that your friends of your customers start becoming aware of who you are. Now we all know that the best kind of customer to get is a referral. Those people come in, they already trust your business, and they're ready just to see how you can help them. So the way that you can really do that is through sites like Facebook. So creating really great content that will help expose your business from your fans who are liking, sharing, and commenting those different things. And you may not be able to read this post in the back, but this is really great. It's very simple, saying, if you could describe our business to your friends in 30 seconds or less, how would you do it? So just imagine the type of response that you're going to get from your customers if you were to post that on your Facebook page. Now this is not only a great way to build engagement, but it's also a terrific way to kind of capture some testimonials and some snapshots about how your customers feel about your business. Now, the next thing that you want to do is remind your regular customers about why they did business with you the first time. Regular life happens, and you're going to notice that just in our own regular lives that you're going to get a flat tire, you're going to get distracted by some colleagues, and it's very easy to forget where that business was that really took care of you 5 months back. So Facebook gives you an opportunity to keep in touch with those customers. And this is another great example from actually a business here in San Francisco called the Stinking Rose. Has anybody been to the Stinking Rose? Great, awesome. So Stinking Rose is fantastic because every dish that they serve has garlic in it. But even the folks that go in there, you may not have tried every single dish that's on the menu. So what you can use is Facebook as a way to take a great picture of a dish that maybe isn't ordered very often. And you can't see it here, but a lot of the comments from regular customers, well, what dish is that? I want to try that the next time I'm in. So not only are you reminding your customers about your business, you're letting them know some other options that you have in your business in terms of services or menu items.
And with that, we kind of want to dive into the fact that our smartphone user base is continuing to grow. I mean, just from the internet in general, thank you. It's better than having to read my Vanna White, is that 62% of the US mobile population now owns a smartphone. And of that, 40% are iPhone users. With Yelp specifically, when we take a look at our mobile audience and the continual growth there, just take a step back, we've got 138 million monthly unique visitors coming to Yelp to prepare to spend money at a local business, right? And of that, 61% of those searches are happening on mobile devices. If you get even more granular, 68 million monthly unique visitors are using their mobile to make that buying decision, to make that search happen. And they're really generating these searches when they're on the go, going from A to Z, and needing to fill in the gaps of the certain need that they have at that moment. Now, let's just say they're not a mobile app user using the Yelp downloaded app, or they're not using Yelp's mobile site, using like Safari or Google. Here's what's happening. They might be searching or mapping for directions. Yelp is now powering a lot of the local search for things like Apple Maps, Siri. What's more than that are a lot of the luxury car brands, Lexus, BMW, Honda, Mercedes-Benz, Toyota. What's more, what you're not seeing on the screen is we also power the local search for Microsoft Bing and Yahoo. And so that's really a thing that Yelp has become this de facto in terms of local search directories for consumers, and they're finding it just beyond the numbers that I provided in the previous screen. So with that, it's really important to know how we're guiding consumers to your business by positioning ourselves as this one-stop shop. So what you're seeing on the screen right now is a search. I just started typing in the search dinner, so you're seeing DINN. Promise I can spell properly, but essentially we're going to auto-populate the possible searches for a consumer, right? So I'm going to say we're going to go to Roy's Restaurant. Once I land on Roy's Restaurant, Yelp, and using the free tools in your business owner's account for you as business owners, you're enabling consumers to make a ton of different actions in one place, on the Yelp mobile app or the mobile touch site. A couple of the options that consumers can take once they land on your business page. If you're a restaurant, they can click through and check out your specific menu, what your offerings are for dinner, lunch, breakfast, whatever it is, you name it, you can put it on there. Similar for service-oriented businesses, you can actually add a menu of your services. If you're a hair salon, that's one that you can often have a menu of services. So they can gather that on Yelp. They can call you through Yelp's mobile app. In fact, we have 500,000 mobile calls every day made through Yelp's mobile application as of Q2 of this year. Second most impressive stat when it comes to mobile users, 400,000 directions are generated every single day on the mobile app to businesses when people are trying to find out how to get to you and walk through your doors. And then finally, they can actually upload and add photos to your business on your behalf. Business owners have an unlimited number of photos you guys can also upload to your business pages, but if you haven't taken advantage of that, consumers can actually upload photos on your business page for you as well. With that particular number, we've got 24,000 photos that are being uploaded every single day via the mobile app on the consumer side of things. So a lot of really tangible, helpful pieces of information, all in one tiny little app. Or I guess it's not so tiny anymore.
I guess the kind of thing to really think about, and you're going to hear lots of statistics from all of us probably, is really just if you remove the statistics, these sites and these different services are integrated into our daily lives. Talking about navigation systems in cars, you're talking about how many people use the iPhone. So, I mean, Siri, and if you use Android, all of these things are integrated into our daily lives. You're talking about Yelp right now that has over 138 million people that come into its site every single month to find businesses just like yours. And you have an audience of over 400 million active people on Google Plus Local. Now, the interesting thing here, too, is that with Facebook, being the largest social media platform that's out there. There's nearly 1.3 billion people across the globe, but here in the United States, the average person spends anywhere between 3 and 5 hours a day on social media, with Facebook being the largest contributor. So with that 1.3 billion people sharing 2.5 billion posts a day, that's an enormous audience that you can connect through. Twitter is probably the hardest platform that I've seen business owners trying to get into. How many people have a Twitter account for their business? Now, how many of y'all set up a Twitter account for your business and then never used it? Okay, there we go. That's the funny part, because it's always amazes me, because Twitter, even though it's the hardest one, maybe to see if you're making any traction, it's one of the tools that we use all the time to create like a specific return on investment. On Twitter, it's the only platform where you can search for people that are literally talking about your services, talking about your product, and then have a conversation with them. And so you have this instant access to people, and all you need to do is just get out there and look for it. So you have people that are tweeting 5,700 tweets every single second. And of course, the next platform that's extremely important is TripAdvisor, which has an enormous amount of views. It has over 170 million reviews on it, and it's the third largest review site out there. So when it comes to building engagement, and this is kind of the secret sauce in making the most out of your social media, it's about building conversations. Now remember, when you yourself go onto Facebook, you're not going there to see a product placement. You're not going there to see what your favorite businesses are doing per se. You're going on there to have a good time and to be caught up on what your friends are doing and maybe see some neat things that are going on locally. So you want to have a good time and make sure that when people see your posts that they're also having a good time. You can see in this one, this is just a post for a music store out in Los Angeles that has Jimmy Cage. He'll rock your face off. And so when people see this, it created a lot of engagement, created a lot of shares, and adding some great branded images to your Facebook page can help increase your engagement by 44%. You also want to make sure that when you're posting that you're keeping it short and sweet. Now, does anybody know the character, like how many characters you can type into a Facebook post? It's like 900 million characters. So you could literally copy and paste a novel into there and post it, and Facebook would let you. But posts that have less than 100 characters in them do 26% better. So keep it short and sweet, and make sure that you're using stuff that's engaging your audience. The next thing that you want to use your social media for is, just like I was saying, is targeting people that may be looking for your services. Now in this example, we have a guy named Mo who's got a toothache. So he's a Twitter user. He takes to Twitter and says, grumble, grumble, hashtag toothache. Now, not all of us may get onto Twitter to talk about our toothaches, but if you're a dentist and you see a conversation like this, what we did is just, hey, sorry, it sounds like you got a little bit of a toothache there. If you need any help, I'd be happy to help you out. He tweets back the very same day saying, hey, do you have any appointment slots available this week? And then at that point, we just asked him to give us a call and schedule them in. Now, the great thing about reaching out to a customer in this way is not only are you creating that, like I said, instant return on investment, you're creating a really loyal customer who sees that you're using the same technology that he loves using to make that connection. So what you get is somebody saying, I don't usually rave about health or dental care. I don't think many of us do. But hot damn, the folks at Dr. Dana DDS are incredible. Hashtag recommended. Now, this is a great testimonial, and this is a great way to really highlight how you can use Twitter to drive customers in. Now, the next thing that you want to be with social media is opportunistic. So there's going to be things that are happening regionally or nationally that allow you to take advantage of it. Does anybody remembers the Super Bowl a couple years ago where the power went out? Anybody guys remember that? So Oreo got on there and tweeted that picture of an Oreo that says you can still dunk in the dark. And that was the biggest advertising moment of the Super Bowl. Now you can do that locally as well. And now in this example, we have a race car driver named Simon Pagino who's visiting Indianapolis for the Indianapolis 500. So Simon happens to be French, and so we happen to have a French crepe restaurant and a farmer's market nearby. So we tweeted at Simon and say, hey, if you're craving crepes, we'd love it if you gave ours a try, hashtag yum. And what ended up happening was his friend, Ryan here on the bottom, ended up tweeting at Simon saying, uh-oh, Simon, I see a crepe sponsorship in your future. And Simon tweets back going, haha, wouldn't that be funny? Hashtag a French man's life dream. So what ends up happening is pretty amazing. We end up having a conversation with Simon, with some country singers, some local people started jumping in on it. And before we knew it, 194,000 people had joined into this conversation about Simon and this little crepe restaurant in a farmer's market. So Simon ended up coming in full race get-up, made crepes with the owner, and so many people enjoyed that they were invited to come do that on morning television as well. So this is, I like to use this because this is a big win for a local business. Not just because you're creating awareness, but because you actually found the perfect customer. Because again, none of this would have happened if Simon hadn't been a great customer for this restaurant. But you create a great customer and you get a lot of awareness about your business, and that's kind of great. But when it comes down to it, what you really want to make sure that you're using your social media for is customer service. This is maybe the best opportunity you have to reach out to customers who are either having a great experience and say, hey, so happy that we're able to help you, what else could we have done to make sure that you keep coming back? Or if somebody has a not so great experience, to try and help them out to fix that miscommunication. In this example, are there any restaurant owners here right now? Okay, so in this example, Samantha goes in and orders something and then takes it to go. When she gets home, she realizes that she ordered the chicken pita and had I think she got eggplant. Yep, she got an eggplant pita, and she tweeted about it. Now, for a restaurant, most of the time, this is a nightmare because this customer is going to be upset, they didn't get what they wanted, and they're already starting to tweet about it. But what we did is we reached right back out to her and said, hey, we're so sorry about getting the wrong pita. Are you going to be back in? And she says, hey, I don't normally like eggplant, but this one was great, and yes, I'll be in tomorrow to order that chicken. I really want to try it out. What ends up happening is we start a positive conversation, and that carries on over into Yelp. And you can see she left a 5-star Yelp review and talks about how she ordered the wrong thing, or she got the wrong thing, and ended up finding out that she likes the eggplant pita, and that she stopped in to get the chicken pita, which was also great. So again, you start that positive conversation, it carries over into your reviews, and people really like it. And I think, Morgan, there was some statistic with Yelp that talked about positive words.
Yep, so one thing I will add on to this as far as providing great customer service is we actually had our engineers scrape all the reviews on our site for the terms good customer service, and then they also scraped the site for the terms bad or terrible customer service. And to Andrew's point, what they ended up finding was those reviews that use the words good or great customer service were over 5 times as likely to give that business a 5-star review over a 1-star. And similarly, nearly 70% of the reviews that had bad or terrible customer service gave that business a 1-star review. So service plays a huge part in terms of what is actually going to be reflected in the online world. And when it comes to Yelp, you have 2 free response tools to your advantage once you've claimed your business page at biz.yelp.com. The first one is you can actually send a private message. So that's as close to a one-on-one email exchange that you could have with a customer. Still, you want to manage your tone, and we'll go into some tips in a minute, because as we know, things can go viral in a matter of a second, a blink of the eye. And then you also have access to a public commenting tool, which essentially allows you to have some real estate on the public-facing side of your page to respond to that review and really state any kind of changes that have been made as a result of the review and anything else that you want to clarify or state as far as your policy goes, for any future consumer to see it. So this is your best friend, your greatest PR tool when you actually use it the right way. Now, of these 61 million reviews on our site, nearly 79%, nearly 80% I should say, of the reviews on there are 3-star, 4-star, 5-star reviews. But more often than not, we don't really care about those great reviews. You're providing great service, you've earned those reviews. So we want to dive into how to deal with the negative ones, right? So I'd like to introduce you to Wade Lombard. This is one of my favorite business owners that I've met in the almost 4 years I've been at Yelp. Wade Lombard is the owner of Square Cow Movers in Austin, Texas. Now, just to give you some ideas, some background about Wade, he left his corporate paying job, he had 2 kids and a baby on the way, and he just decided, I'm going to start my own moving company with a really good buddy of mine. He was essentially doing everything from answering the phones to carrying all the boxes up for a move, 10 flights of stairs, whatever it is, you name it, he covered it between him and his buddy. Most impressive weight loss I've ever heard. He lost 40 pounds in the first year of business. But he is now up to 3 different moving locations, Austin, I think it's Pearland, and then also Dallas now. But his first experience with Yelp was actually when he got notified that he had a negative review from somebody who had used his moving services. Now, know that his service is phenomenal. His customer service is top-notch. He's got incredible employees, and he goes between a 4.5 to 5-star average on Yelp across all 3 of his locations. But that being said, we kind of had some sit-down time. He joined us on the Yelp Small Business Advisory Council about 3 years ago now. And I was talking to him during the happy hour on the first night. And he told me, you know what, Morgan, and I apologize if anyone here except for Andrew, the Texas accent of mine is awful, but it doesn't do it justice if I don't do it this way. He said, you know what, Morgan, when I get a negative review on Yelp, I feel like somebody has soaked my pants in kerosene and threw a match at me. I am on fire. And the first time he said this to me, I was like, you know what, I've heard it feels like someone's insulting my children. I've heard it feels like a punch in the stomach. I have never heard that. And I was like, well, so what do you do if you're on fire? And he said, well, I'm on fire, I gotta stop, drop, and roll. And from that point on, I had eventually, over a few weeks of emailing, following up after that summit, I said, wait, can you please write these things down for me? Because I think this is the most easy thing. The steps seem to resonate in the way that you described it. So here's essentially what he wrote down for me. So first he stops. He says, no matter how heated he is, no matter how emotionally upset, etc. that he is, he stops. He walks away from the computer. He gives himself 24 hours to just take a night. And he's like, I may not get a lot of sleep, but I am not writing anything that is going to damage me in the long term in responding to that review. Then he decides if it is something that is constructive criticism for his business, he drops the attitude, the emotion, any kind of tone that we all know gets misread in written language, right? When he's drafting that actual response to that person. He then, before hitting the send button, has his wife or someone less heavily invested in the business read over what his response is saying, and then he goes ahead and rolls with it. He said, you know what, Morgan, as you know, with my average on Yelp and other online social media sites, I've got a great reputation, and I have to let these roll off my back and continue to provide great customer service day in and day out, because these good reviews continue to come in. So that's stop, drop, and roll for everyone out there that may be encountering something like that with your business. But when it comes to actually real-life examples, we've got some wonderful business owners here who can talk to some more personal insights and best practices. But thought I'd also share some of a variation of Wade's stop, drop, and roll. San Pedro Fish Market got a 1-star review. Initial consumer ends with, I wanted to love this place when I walked in, but I left feeling ripped off. I won't be going back. Okay, so August 5th, this review's posted. I'm sure this business owner did some variation of stop, drop, and roll because August 6th rolls around, and Michael Yu of San Pedro Fish Market responds publicly and opens up with, we're really sorry your experience with us was not to your satisfaction. If you can share exactly what you purchased, I'll review with our staff at our next meeting. Our goal is to provide as much bang for your buck. Now, as any consumer and anyone in the audience, if you put your consumer hat on, and you saw this response from the business owner, you'd say, wow, they care about their customer feedback, they're making changes where they can, and actually this is a pretty diplomatic response, right? Now, the benefit in actually engaging and joining the conversations with your customers is that in best case scenarios, this can happen. So a week later, this customer updated the review from a 1-star to a 3-star review. The most telling thing, kind of going back to that stat I told you about great customer service, customer opens up with, after being contacted by management, I decided to update my previous review. I'm a big customer service guy. So this is one of the greatest tools you can take advantage of when you use them properly, this public commenting and private messaging tools, to move the needle on your online reputation. Oh, and so one other thing that we like to say here is that rather than asking for reviews or don't ask to update the review, that should be something that comes from them organically. You just want to leave breadcrumbs for customers to let them know where you are online. So we touched on providing great service. That tends to have a natural lineage to the positive reviews that happen online about your business. But what's more is that you can also create exciting promos. So on Yelp, you can create a check-in offer or a Yelp deal. A check-in offer is something that appears just on the mobile app itself, so those mobile app users we touched on earlier. Just above your map on your business listing on the Yelp mobile app, you can create a tagline for a check-in offer, a price off, a fixed price, a free item, or a discount on a good or service. It doesn't even have to actually be of monetary value. So you could have people checking into your business. My favorite is just on the street, Little Griddle is a cafe one free high five from your barista when you get your coffee. So I get my coffee in the morning, I give a high five to the barista, and when I'm checking in on Yelp, I can also say I want to let my friends know on Facebook, Twitter, or Yelp know where I am. So it's a very good cross-promotional tool in that regard. And then once I go back onto the Yelp desktop platform, it's going to remind me with one of these images that you're seeing up here to say, hey Morgan, you recently checked in at Little Griddle. Your next review awaits. So it's a very natural way for us to remind consumers where they've been, the businesses they've frequented, and then if they'd like to write a review, they can go ahead and do so right there. Couple things, low-hanging fruit on the bottom. Updating your email signature, as well as having branded stickers, anything that you can just leave as far as those breadcrumbs, as I mentioned before. So my particular e-signature right there, all of those little buttons at the bottom of my signature are free to use. You can go to Wisestamp, W-I-S-E-S-T-A-M-P, and it will create a free e-signature for you with active links to any of your pages that you have or that you want to have consumers know how to get to. You can also check out, yep.
Could you repeat that address?
Sure thing. So it's wisestamp.com. It'll create free e-signatures for you. And then you can also go to yelp.com/brand. You now have the ability on our brand page to order a Find Us on Yelp sticker. Our marketing team will actually mail those out to you. So yelp.com/brand if you want to order stickers for your car, your salon mirror, whatever makes the most sense for your business. Those are accessible. And then I believe you have some stickers as well in the back. Perfect. So all good things to just keep in mind as far as marketing yourself and where you have that online presence.
Yeah, and just keep in mind too is that when we're talking about this, you want to give your customers as much knowledge about where you are, whether it's Facebook or Yelp or Google, just so they're aware of it. Because less than 3% of people ever leave a review ever. So you want to make sure that you're just creating awareness that not only are these reviews important to you, but that you care and that you're monitoring them. A lot of people, and we see this all the time, when somebody leaves a review and a business owner responds, they weren't expecting that. They were just expecting to leave that review and kind of go on their way. But when a business owner responds back, they get this really kind of warm feeling and they're very excited about the fact that somebody read their review. So when you let people know that you do monitor those sites, that's great. So in addition to this, I mean, all of this is great, but you want to be able to actually verify whether or not people are coming into your business and that at the end of the day, you're making some extra money because of Yelp and because of all the time you're spending on Facebook and Twitter, etc. So there's some pretty good ways that you can use to track how people are using these sites. Now the first thing that you want to do is see whether or not your fan base is growing across your social media. Are people following you on Twitter? Are they checking in on Foursquare? Are they leaving reviews and checking in on Yelp? So track that. If you don't see that positively going up, then you want to adjust what you're doing. Maybe you need to add that sticker to your door. Maybe you need to add that little link in the signature of your email and give them other opportunities to find out where you are. The next thing you want to look at is see where your engagement is. So engagement is, like I said, it's the secret sauce to social media, and that's how people find you. So you want to make sure that when you post something on Facebook that people are liking it, commenting it, and sharing on it. And one very simple thing that you can do to make sure that people are doing that is to ask them to do it in the post. Just like with any kind of marketing function, you want to create that call to action. And on Facebook, they're very simple. You can be like, hey, like this picture and let us know if you really like this dish. Or you can be like, with that example for the restaurant, get 30 seconds or less, let us know how you feel about our restaurant. You're telling them exactly what you want them to do, and if you just leave it open-ended, 9 times out of 10 people are just going to go, oh, that was a nice post, and then keep scrolling down to see what other people are talking about. The next thing that you want to do is help your business be found online, and that goes into making sure that you've claimed all of these pages and that you're watching them every day to make sure that when you update something on the menu, when you change something about your service, that you're also doing it online. Because this is how people are searching for you. So if you add delivery to your business, or you add a product to your business, and it's not on your Yelp profile, and I search for that, how am I going to find you? I'm not just going to make an educated guess to think that maybe you have delivery. I'm just going to go to the next business that says that they have it. And of course, the next thing you can do, which is really, really powerful, is ask your customers as they're coming in. I see some of the most successful businesses, when they have their customers come through the door, they say, hey, how did you find us? And people will say, well, I saw your reviews on Yelp, or I saw that post that you did on Facebook. And it's a really great way to start that conversation in person, and also to let them know about some of the other great sites that you're paying attention to. And with that, in addition to tracking your social media, you also want to make sure that you're taking a look about how the legal side of things for your business. And of course, Matt is the expert on that.
Great, thank you. Thanks, Andrew. Thanks, Morgan. Yeah, so as I was saying earlier, I started up with Rocket Lawyer a little over 4 years ago. The company was started about 6 years ago by a gentleman named Charlie Moore. He'd been practicing here in the Bay Area and identified a big problem that was happening for large and small businesses, which was essentially accessing affordable legal care. And so what he decided to do was start the company, Rocket Lawyer, and really find a way to make it so that consumers, small businesses, families can easily get in touch with a lawyer and the legal services they need, and then also that the lawyers that are providing that have a very simple way of delivering it. So win-win, really being able to drive more traffic for clients to be able to access legal services and also drive down the costs in the process. And so, similarly, what I was telling you guys about me practicing growing up, I actually grew up in the household of a solo practitioner. So in the legal parlance, that's basically one guy who owns a small business and his product is practicing law. And like him, and I think like a lot of you, his small business, his law firm, was his baby. Actually, just a quick show of hands, how many people here, you are your entire business? All right. How many people here have more than 10 employees? How many people here have actually referred to your business as your baby? There we go. And so when you do that and you're intermixing your relationship with yourself and your personal being, so to speak, and then also your business, you are creating some issues. And so what I'd like to do is talk to you a little bit about some things that you can do while you're going along with these great practices of getting more exposure for your businesses while protecting yourself. And so this is a quick little study that we did to show you guys some stats. We do a semi-annual small business survey. And so what we do is we go out and ask the thousands of small business owners who are using Rocket Lawyer every day general things about their business. And one of the things that we found out this year as we were taking a look at this survey was that 60% of the businesses that we were talking to anticipate on growing. Great stat, a lot of growth moving forward, right? However, a little bit more than half have never even talked to a lawyer, never sought legal counsel on what should they do as they're growing. Now, in and of itself, that stat might not be concerning, but this is a much bigger number. This number here, the $212 billion, this is the amount of costs in the legal services area out there. And these costs that are racking up aren't because of anything necessarily wrong with the legal system. They're more about things that have happened when people don't protect themselves up front. These are about things when things go wrong. And we believe we can really change this by helping people take care of things correctly up front as they're growing, rather than waiting for the problems to arise and become problems. And so, are we on this? There we go. And so there are three main areas that we've looked to work on for folks. And in essence, what Charlie's has believed and what we continue to believe is that the law is really about relationships. It's about relationships between you and your business, and it's about relationships between you and your clients and customers, and it's about relationships between you and the government and the state, and what are they going to ask you to do. I see a smile over there, so you know what I'm talking about. And so basically, we really have services that go and address each of these. So going to the first, creating and signing contracts. Really, as you're going through and you are bringing on employees, if you're making vendor contracts, when you're going ahead and you're posting online, making sure that you've got any agreements that you have in place with people. A lot of times a handshake is a good idea, but sometimes, when something goes wrong with that handshake deal, you want to go back to a contract. And so we've made it really easy to just do that really quickly online. You can e-sign it right away, taking away all the hassle. So for any of you who have ever made the excuse that, I don't want to put a contract in place because it's too difficult, you don't have that excuse anymore, I'm sorry. We took care of that one for you. The other is, we highlight here incorporating online, but it's a bit more than that too. It's about managing that relationship with the government online. So, you guys are all small business owners. Quick show of hands, how many of you are incorporated? Okay, it looks about half. So the other half, you are basically, what's going on right now is you and your business are one and the same. What you do when you incorporate is you're actually setting up a legal barrier so that you are protected. And so as you're going out there, as you're getting more exposure online, as you're growing and you have so many more businesses that are coming to you and customers coming to you saying, I want to use your service, you're protecting yourself so that if something does go wrong, you know that it's the company that has any sort of issues at it, but your whole personal being is left untouched. And then lastly, is really, there's really no substitute for this, is just get some advice from a lawyer. In fact, actually, we have a couple of on-call lawyers here in the crowd today. If you guys want to raise your hands, there we go. They'll be hanging around here for after as we do the breakout sessions to go ahead and answer any basic questions you guys might have in terms of your day-to-day incorporating, putting contracts in place. And so they're really happy to help. They're great, some great Bay Area small business attorneys. So here's some examples that I'd like to give you guys, real quick and easy, that you can just think about as you're going on. Limiting your liability. We just talked about this a little bit. And so this is incorporating your business. If you're out there and you're actually presenting that you are a business, make sure that you are separating yourself from your business so that your personal assets are protected. But also, very simple things. Actually, how many people out here have a website? Okay, great. How many of you have a website terms of use on there? Crickets. All right. So I have a great website for you guys to go to. It's called rocketlawyer.com. But no, it's actually putting a terms of use on there. It's super valuable and important to go in there and make sure that if you're out there, if you are communicating with people online or off, that you have those conditions outlined. We have it on our site. I know you guys have it on yours. So yeah, definitely go for it. The next is controlling your reputation. So this is, we're talking a lot about getting out there, getting exposure for yourself, and that's great. You should be growing like gangbusters. Very easy things to do to make sure that you've got some control over that as you start to have more and more people do it. And that's putting a social media policy in place if you're hiring on employees, making sure that they just know what your expectations are. What we find oftentimes, especially in the legal world, isn't that there was necessarily an argument about or a disagreement about something that someone had already decided upon. It was just that nobody sat down and actually said, this is what we both agree, this is how we actually see things face to face. So sit down for a second and put one of those in place. You'll be really happy you did. And then lastly is you've all got your brand, right? So I'm sure, actually, how many of you now, we'll do one last quiz or poll here. How many of you, your business is actually your own personal name? How many people have it? Oh, we got a few. How many actually have a business name for your business? Okay, so this is now a property that you own. You should trademark this. Make sure that as you're out there and as you are promoting yourself, that it's actually protected. This is something that you can work with the government on to go ahead and make sure that it's protected. But this happens so that you can go ahead and market yourself, and people can't use your trade name while they're actually promoting themselves. And so if you wind up getting into a scuffle online, you know that you have the rights to that name. So thank you guys all very much for having us here, and remember, if you do have any questions, we will have some attorneys lined up in the back there for you.